Greetings, my saplings. Alright, so in today's video, we're going to be talking about some Jordan 1s. To be specific, we got two Jordan 1s releasing, those of which, as you guys know, will be the Pine Green Jordan 1s and the Court Purple Jordan 1s. To be specific in today's video, like always, we will be mentioning some release info, how to cop the shoe, and of course, some resale predictions. Both colorways will be releasing on this Saturday for $160. That will be the 22nd of September. Now, the construction of these shoes is just like any other Jordan 1. There are no other significant details on these, unfortunately, but you know, they're pretty awesome colorways. I'd say that the color blocking is most similar to the bread toes that just released. In fact, I would say that the quality is also just like the bread toes on those, which means it's not going to be that fantastic thick cut leather, but it's still going to be soft leather. If you ask me, I think that's pretty good quality, so I'm definitely looking forward to getting both of these colorways for personal wear. Let me know which one you guys like more, though. I like the Pine Green one just because it's very reminiscent of the Celtic ones. Additionally, grade school pairs will be $120. Now, the only difference with the grade school compared to the men's, which we've never really seen before, is that we have a white tongue instead of a black tongue. Alright, so with the release info out of the way, why don't we jump into how to cop these shoes, because of course, that's what you guys came here for, right? Alright, so we got a couple of things to talk about, and I have a method that's definitely going to guarantee you at least one pair, but we're going to talk about that later. But first, let's talk about the online first come, first serve store list. So let's kick it off with the US only store list. These stores are going to be releasing at 10 a.m. Eastern time. So first one I wanted to mention was Kicks USA. Kicks USA is doing a queue, and the queue, you can use the multiple people jig if you want, open multiple Chrome users, but with this site, it will track your IP address, so you always do run the risk, unlike on Adidas where you might get IP banned. Of course, you're not really losing anything because it's a soft ban, it'll go away, but I also like to include you, But when it comes to these queues, I also like to use multiple different devices, turn them on to long-term evolution, so you're using data, you have a different gateway, so you're not connected to the same IP. That's just a safety precaution you guys can take. Anyway, it looks like they'll only be having the Court Purple ones and the Court Purples in the grade school sizes. Now, as you guys will notice when it comes to a lot of these first come, first serve store lists, a lot of these are confirmed to be releasing, but I don't have product pages for a lot of them, so right now we see that the purple ones are releasing on Kicks USA, but we might end up seeing the green ones too. And of course, that goes for any other first come, first serve store that I'm going to be mentioning. So next one I want to mention was Shoe Palace. And Shoe Palace, we're going to do something very similar with the multiple people jig. This one, it's going to be a timer. Whenever Shoe Palace releases Jordans, or really any shoe that's limited, they have a timer. So every time you add to cart, and you can't add to cart, you see a 60-second timer come up. And unfortunately, you can't just spam add to cart. You have to wait till that timer's up, then you click a size and try to check that one out. Now, it's very unlikely that you'll actually be able to check out. So what we like to do is on every single other Chrome user, you will have a separate timer there. So say one's at 60 seconds, the other's going to be at 40 seconds. Meanwhile, your other one is going to be at 15, the other at 23. So while you're waiting for one of the timers to go down, you're clicking on other timers. So it's killing two birds with one stone, essentially. Anyway, moving on to the next release, Finish Line is doing a queue. I honestly wouldn't recommend spending your time on Finish Line just because I actually haven't copped off of Finish Line as of very recently. When it comes to Finish Line, with these more limited releases, you're put into a queue, and for me, I haven't been recently getting into the queue until they've been sold out. But just for your personal interest, I'll mention all the other stores that should be getting them at 10 a.m. Eastern time. So of course we have the Foot stores, that of which will be Foot Action, Foot Locker, Champs, and East Bay. I don't think they have product pages yet. And basically with these, you just have to spam the add to cart button. You could be 10 minutes late or so, and you could just keep on spamming size 10 add to cart, size 9 add to cart. Anyway, we're going to be talking more about these stores a little later. Additionally, some more first come, first serves at 10 a.m. Eastern time would include Shoe Gallery, Shop Nice Kicks, DTLR Villa, and also, I would just recommend, when it comes to all these first come, first serves, make sure you have autofill set up. But, you know, I still want you guys to focus on Nike sneakers. If you're in the US, they're going to be releasing at 10 a.m. Eastern time. I'm sure more of these will pop up, but as of now, the main one for 3 a.m. will be Soulbox. Soulbox does a queue exactly like how Kicks USA does it. I believe they're only getting the Pine Greens, but if the Court Purples show up, hey, you can feel free to go for those too once you get in the queue. Then also, Kicks Premium is doing a first come, first serve. And finally, for Europe, only at 3 a.m. Eastern time, I do believe that you guys have your release. If it's not 3 a.m., it's probably 4 a.m. So when it comes to all of these sneakers releases, no matter what country you're in, it's going to be a Leo drop. So it appears to be like a first come first serve, but once you try to purchase, it will say pending. Nike is randomly selecting people's payment and who to accept. So your primary goal should be to get in as many accounts as fast as possible, because there is a prime time window to get in. So if you're number 1 in there, or if you're number 5 in there, you have the same chances as, say, the 200th person in there or the 70th person in there. It's just you want to be within that 2 to 4 minute time range. Also, it doesn't hurt if you could fit multiple sizes, or if you're going for resale purposes, to go for different sizes, because some do have more stock than others. Also, since there are 2 shoes releasing, well, actually 4, since there's 2 grade school shoes as well, I think you guys have a really high chance of copying, just like the acronym Prestos where we had 3 releases. So say hypothetically you're using 5 accounts, there's 4 shoes releasing, so then you have a pretty good chance of copying the shoes, if you ask me. Moving on, I just wanted to briefly mention that there are a bunch of raffles that you could join on my Twitter. I made it super easy for you guys, just like always, where I just link all the raffles in one tweet, so you don't have to go search and find for every single one. All you gotta do is click the link, fill them out. I do suggest making multiple entries by changing up some of your info. Now, if you happen to be watching this video while these raffles are expired, just for future reference, I would suggest 1, turning on post notifications for YouTube just to stay 100% updated on everything, and additionally, feel free to follow my Twitter just to get the smaller updates such as these raffles. Also, when it comes to the prepaid raffles, if you happen to be using Chase as your credit card or payment method, make sure you call them up and prepare them that they will expect a charge from these companies. Anyway, moving on, let's talk about the number 1 way to cop these things, at least manually. In my opinion, the number 1 way to cop is through Foot Action, Foot Locker, and Champs. So you might be saying, okay, what does that mean, Keith? Well, first of all, you should have signed up for the reservations on the apps. In fact, I even tweeted out the codes for you, the PIN numbers, so you could get that extra minute head start, which increases your chances. Because let me be honest, guys, when it comes to these limited releases, if you only have 6 minutes, 7 minutes, or 9 minutes, you're probably not going to get the shoe if you're in a heavily populated area. But if you have that full 10 minutes, you got a pretty good chance of copying the shoe. But that's besides the point, because I'm sure by the time you're watching this, signups have already closed. That's just for future reference. My main point is that people don't always pick up their pairs. One of the main reasons is because they simply can't make it. Another reason is because a lot of people make duplicate accounts, and the store owners see that it's the same person coming in for more, and they simply decline them. So there will be a lot of extra pairs, especially if you're going to a popular mall or a popular Foot Locker, Foot Action, Champs near you. So all you really have to do is call up one of these stores or any of these stores. Anyway, you have to call them up and ask them if they're doing tickets for the leftovers from the reservations. If they are, you have to get there around like 5 to 4 local time just to make sure you secure them. If you get there around 6 or 7, you're kind of cutting it close, but basically they will give out tickets around 8 to 9 o'clock local time. Then you come back at 3 o'clock, and that is the deadline for people to pick up pairs. So all the leftovers will go to the people who waited in line for those tickets, and believe me guys, there are plenty of leftovers. Also, when you go early in the morning, they actually release grade school sizes at 8 o'clock. So even if they're not giving out tickets, I would suggest getting there as early as possible just to cop those grade school sizes. Don't worry, we're going to talk about them in the resale predictions portion of the video in just a second. But anyway, if they don't do tickets, because I know near some of you guys they might not do this, I would suggest going to your mall and waiting in line in front of the store. Make sure you consult with them, make sure you call them up to make sure they're giving away leftover pairs, and there is always the risk that you might be lining up for nothing, but that's part of it. Anyway, in my opinion, that is my number 1 way of copying. I've taken many W's from doing it like this. So with a $160 retail price, I am confident that you will be able to make at least a little bit of profit with the more common sizes. However, when it comes to sizes under 10, being 9.5 and under, I think there's definitely more profit to be made. So if you're very skeptical on this release, I would suggest sticking to the sizes 9.5 and lower. Honestly, I'm expecting the biggest drop in price to be around 7 p.m. Eastern time, because that is when most people get their notifications if they won or lost on the foot apps. At that time, people basically confirm that they're getting the pairs. They list a bunch of shoes already for sale. And then comes 10 a.m. Eastern time, you might see a slight rise in price from all the people who took L's off of Nike sneakers. This is just what I've seen in the past when it comes to Jordan releases that are fairly limited. But then you will see another drop in price after that small bit of rise when more pairs go into circulation from shipments. So the way I see it, if you got them in hand, you have two options. Sell them that very day, or hold them through that trough, because when more pairs go into circulation, price is still going to drop. Hold them for a decent amount of time until the prices go up. However, the only sizes I really think that are going to have a significant rise will be those under 10. And yes, that does actually include grade school sizes. I'm simply mentioning this just because of how the Game Royals reacted, how the Bread Toes reacted. So I'm expecting these to at least bring you some profits, especially with that $160 retail. Even grade school sizes, $120 retail. They're looking really great now, but don't expect these prices to be remotely close to what they're at right now. Anyway, though, I think all these should be profitable. If you're skeptical, though, stick to sizes under 10 and you should be okay. With that, I'm going to conclude today's video. Feel free to leave a like if you enjoyed, if you perhaps learned a thing or two. Also, subscribe and turn on post notifications to stay 100% updated. With that, though, good luck and have a fantastic rest of your day.